fellow programming engineers. Welcome back once more to this course for frequency variators or drives. In today's topic we're going to be talking about, in a summarized version, what a drive is. And what is the importance for our everyday life as engineers in control automation. The drives part means a specialty study in automation. And I dare say it is a very common specialty study. Now, fortunately for all of us, this specialty study or this specialized area is not complicated at all. It's not complex. If we learn the concepts and if we follow the right path for the correct study for this specialty. So therefore, the methodology that I'm going to be using in this course is completely new. I love running the course practically, and in this case, it's not going to be the exception. So therefore, I think that the best way for you guys to understand and to learn how to program drives or configure them or connecting them even is through many brands of drives. Now, my company, which was founded after I quit from a very famous company, Allen Bradley. We've been dedicating our lives to
manufacturing industrial machinery. And of course, we've been running other projects. But one of our most successful machines is conveyor belt manufacturing. Everything that has to do, or any type of machine that has conveyor belts or linear transporters, curved, or any batteries. Or we actually design and we manufacture sushi bars. So we always have drives. We always use drives. I imagine that half of what we have in our warehouse is drives, and also for different brands. So therefore, I'm going to use this in my favor with all you guys. Okay? So we're going to use this so you guys can learn how to correctly set up those drives. So that whenever you guys have the chance, or whenever you have a drive for any brand, you don't have to be surprised. And it's basically the same thing. Now, what is a drive? What does a drive mean?
It's any device that is in charge of controlling many variables in an induction motor. So, down the line, in this class, I'm going to be showing you how an induction motor looks like, and I'm going to be telling you and explaining you how they work. Is one of the electric devices, or shall we say electromechanic devices, that are most commonly in an industrial plant. Always, wherever we go to an industry and industrial plant, we're always going to have motors. It's a very common device. So therefore, we need to control them through an electronic device, and that's the drive, which has as its sole purpose to control its frequency. If we control the frequency for an induction motor, we're going to be able to control its speed. Okay? Now, previously, in other companies, in bigger companies, they used to use other types of electromechanic devices to control motors and the engines. So the problem here was that there was a constant speed but not variable. Now, what electromechanic device am I talking about? Like contactors, like starters. And generally, these were controlled in full attention, which means that the speed always went to the top speed, okay? Not peak, but maximum average speed. But what would happen here if I wanted to decrease the speed? For whatever reason, for any application that I was using or for safety reasons, if I wanted to control that device with a contactor, it wouldn't be done. It wouldn't have been able to be done. Because just by that, the contactor feeds 120 volts in a triphase. And with that voltage, we are sending out or calling out for constant speed. We can't decrease this. Something that we are able to do with our drive. And so therefore, that's why I'm telling you that it's one of the most common specialized areas. Because these are for many areas in which we need to be specialized for this part. There's many engineers or technicians actually who we already know how to control and configure the most important parameters for what the drive is. However, there are many more other parameters around this device which are pretty useful and that I'd like to talk about in this section, or actually in this course. Okay? Remember now that the course is a combination between theory and practice. Theory and practice. So let's try to stay awake so that we all learn about this wonderful world of drives. I love drives, and honestly, it was one of the things that of the specialty studies, of the specialized areas that I had to learn by force when I was very young. I remember that I programmed and learned my first drive. I think I was 16 years old. And I was very, very nervous. Okay? But the practice, and thanks to the help of an engineer who was also working in Rockwell Automation many, many years ago, and I had the opportunity to work with him when I was very, very young. I think I was maybe 16 or 17 years old. He helped me configure that drive correctly. And then that's where I took the other courses externally. But they weren't being convincing. They weren't convincing when I was working there because I started noticing that there were many functions. And then I had the opportunity to work with Alan Bradley and working with PowerFlex, PowerFlex 40, PowerFlex 525. And then later on, everything. That's where the craziness started. Okay? So, in a very general overview, this is the drive's specialty. We're going to start discovering all the advantages in this specialized field. If you guys are capable and able to have a drive from scratch right in front of you, and if you're capable of controlling the variables as you wish, then the goal of this course would be complete. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next section, which is reviewing our induction motor. And then we're going to check a drive internally so that you know and that you know how they work. And so this makes a little bit more sense at the moment when we try to analyze our parameters, our communication, and the internal control types that a drive is able to handle. Okay, so let's move on to our next class. Big hug, guys.